Did Nick Sirianni just pull off the greatest distraction ever? Dallas still stinks. You might the way I kick Dingbat here. I gotta tell you, Eagle fans, things are not as bad as they seem, and they might have just gotten a whole lot better. I want to talk to you guys about some breaking news happening right now that could affect the Eagles in a big way. You got to see this because this is really interesting. Jordan Schultz, my man, shout out to him. He's saying, breaking, the Pound Jets pass rusher Haason Reddick has been granted permission to seek a trade, sources confirm. Now, of course, the Eagles can't trade for him, so you're going, well, who cares about that, Philly? What's the big deal? The big deal is this, and this is really interesting, and it's just coming out right now that I think it could be huge for the Eagles. Could be huge, okay? I'm told that Pound Eagles will get a 2026 second-round pick from the Pound Jets if Haason Reddick gets traded to an NFC team per multiple sources. The other, quote, condition involved in the trade for Reddick to the Pound Jets that was newly reported in a tweet 2 weeks ago. And basically, this was from Josina Anderson. And if the Jets trade Reddick to an NFC team, the Eagles then get a second-round pick instead of Haason Reddick having to go out there and get 10-plus sacks, especially when, you're 6 weeks into the season. So this is great news for the Eagles. This could be a very interesting turn of events. Will the Jets trade him? Hopefully to an NFC team. So if the Dallas Cowboys want to go out and get Haason Reddick, I'll accept it. I'll take it. Go ahead. I want that second-round pick. If the Eagles can turn this pick into a second-round pick in 2026, I think that's a great deal for us. So good job by Howie putting this stipulation in the deal because the Jets probably thought this never would be a situation. Now it looks like the Eagles may actually get a second-round pick for Haason Reddick. I love it. I thought that was a great thing. And I really think that things for the Eagles are not as bad as they seem. Having time to reflect on it, and we're going to get into it in a second. But I got to talk about this happening right now because this also indirectly affects the Haason Reddick trade potentially and also the division because the Dallas Cowboys once again have been let down. Ian Rappaport is reporting this. The Pound Raiders are completing a trade of star wide receiver DAVANTE Adams to the Pound Jets, sources say. It turns out that that's going to be a conditional third-round pick. So maybe that makes it more likely that the Jets will want to move Haason Reddick to recoup that pick. And I can tell you this, Cowboy fans aren't happy, all right? Mark Holmes did a video today, weirdest camera view I've ever seen, you know what I mean? It was weird, up your nose with a rubber hose. I think Mark is changing the camera views, actually, because I think he's starting to grow feathers. All them DNA from all them chicken wings he was eating and sucking out the DNA, I think he's starting to grow feathers. So now he's letting you look up his nose. But check how pissed off Cowboy fans are about DAVANTE Adams going to the Jets.
We can't find people at this point to help this team. If you were sitting here bragging and boasting about we signed Dak, we signed CD, and that's your whole thing to win a Super Bowl, you're stupid as shit.
Stonado, the first magnet.
You're stupid as shit. Aaron Rodgers got Garrett Wilson over there. Aaron Rodgers got a real good defense. Aaron Rodgers got a good running attack. And guess what they said? It's not enough. Let's go out and get Davante Adams. And Jerry Jones, you're not willing to take a goddamn risk, which is kind of crazy, that you've got more money that you and Stephen Jones and his great-great-great-great-great-grandkids could ever spend. We're the ones out there spending our money, giving it to you with this shit sandwich that you put on the field. And here it is, Davante Adams traded for a 3rd-round pick, and you picked up Trey frickin' Lance for a 4th-round pick, and he'll never sniff the damn field. And paying him $5 million and then turning around saying, well, we couldn't afford Derrick Henry, when you wouldn't even pick up the damn phone. This is crap. This is a shit sandwich that you keep serving to us and expect us to go ahead and say, we them boys, we the Cowboys, buy the clothes and things, be fashionable, have all your rappers there and your fighting guys and all and the big fights and stuff and everything else. We the Cowboys, and we ain't shit. We are not shit. We can't win in the freaking playoffs. We can't do it. And I don't blame. Here's the part about it here.
I love it. I love it. They're so pissed off. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And as far as our Eagles are concerned, we did get some good news on Darius Slay. Ian Rappaport saying this: Pound Eagles cornerback Darius Slay, who left Sunday's game with a knee injury, is considered day-to-day good news. We weren't sure that it was going to be, we weren't sure what it was going to be. I actually thought there was a good chance it was going to be worse than that, but it wasn't. And, here's the thing. Right now with the Eagles, the way I see things, after having, a chance to reflect on the game and stuff, sure, we should have beaten Cleveland by a lot more. We should have double moonwalked that ass. All right? There's no doubt about it. They stink. And we didn't. However, I don't think things are as bad as they seem. I do think things have to be fixed, and I do think things getting fixed may not happen. I don't know. It really is going to depend on the Eagles. Right now, the focus on the Eagles nationally is the Nick Sirianni thing. Oh, Nick Sirianni this, Nick Sirianni this, and he's talking to fans and he's losing his mind. And that's all they're talking about. All they're talking about all over the place is Nick Sirianni is getting into it with fans. He's losing it. He shaved his head. He looks like Britney Spears doing his Illuminati tap dance or whatever the hell he's doing. But I think this whole situation with Nick Sirianni yelling at the fans, I got to tell you, I don't care about it. I don't care about it, okay? I'm glad that you have an emotional coach. I have no problem with an emotional coach. You're never going to win going after Eagle fans. It's a lose-lose proposition. However, I think that Nick Sirianni, I think he might have done it on purpose. I'm serious. At this point, why not? Because it's such a distraction. While everybody should be talking about certain things about Nick Sirianni, they're talking about him getting into arguments with fans and, oh, look at him and the fans are fighting, getting into it. And the truth of the matter is this. The truth of the matter is we shouldn't be worrying about that. What we need to be talking about with Nick Sirianni, and when it comes to Nick Sirianni, and I think this is something he wants to avoid answering, is why every week that this team goes out and play, they're not ready. They're not ready to play. He does not get this team ready. This is not just happening this year. This is not just 5 games in a row. This also dates back to last year. For whatever reason, we do not do a good job coming into a game being ready. It seems like the game plan early that we have all week, the scripted plays, none of it works, and it's all off. And teams, they wind up playing and making these games closer early on. And then I think, the Eagles, being as talented as they are, because this is a talented roster, they're able to adjust. And when they start to adjust what's going on, this team is talented enough to overcome that a lot of times. However, when you play a team like Tampa and they go down the first 3 drives and all of a sudden put 21 points on you, then you're in a world of trouble because you're playing from behind. The biggest problem with the Eagles is the coach does not have this team ready to play. And instead of talking about that and discussing it, we're talking about Nick Sirianni's interaction with the fans. And to me, it's letting Nick off the hook. And in some weird way, you're going to see this team possibly use this whole thing as it's us against the world type thing. We got to back our coach. And it's actually going to be something that they use to motivate themselves, kind of like Donovan McNabb used to do, where somehow the fans did something to him. He always used it against us. That's what it's going to turn into, I think. But the real issue with Nick Sirianni is, why is this team not ready to play? We have not scored any first quarter points. And if you look at the scripted plays early in the game, if you look at what we do when we come out, we look like we're not ready. And it's only the adjustments and the talent on this team that has been able to overcome it. And when you allow points early in the game, like the Tampa game, you're really screwed up. And you're really screwed for that game. So this team, if they can fix these first quarter issues, if they can start playing better in the first quarter, they're gonna go on a win streak. They're gonna beat the crap out of teams. I really believe it. If you remember the year we went to the Super Bowl, we used to come out and we'd be up like 28-7, 24-3. Those were the kind of scores we were getting the year we went to the Super Bowl at halftime. Remember, the problem then was we took the foot off the gas and we allowed teams to get back into it and make it closer than it had to be. But right now, we come out in the first quarter, we come out in these games, and we're not ready to play. Our first 15 scripted plays are bad, and teams are able to stay in the game with us, and then these kind of games turn into fourth quarter games. If we could start better, we'll be fine. And the question is will Nick give up the power that he needs to give up in order to do that? Will he change things? He doesn't want to answer questions when it comes to who's scripting the plays, how do you go about scripting the plays, those kind of things. He doesn't want to answer. And really, while people think, oh, they're getting on Nick over this whole thing with him getting into fans, I think to him, he'll take it. I think it's a great distraction from what's really important, and that is, why can't you start earlier in games? I think if this team can work out their first quarter woes, I think they'll be fine. I mean, a lot of people complained about Jalen Hurts. Oh, Jalen Hurts didn't play good. He started 0-5. He didn't start good, but he finished good. And that's what happens with this team a lot. However, when you have games like the Tampa game that you allow 3 touchdowns on the first 3 drives, you're going to be in trouble, and any team would be. So this team has to get better in the first quarter. If they do that, they could beat anybody in the league. They could beat anybody, even with the flaws that we have defensively, needing a pass rush, and things like that. So I actually think that there is actually room, or actually, the way I look at it, I see the glass half full. I say, if we fix these early woes, we're gonna start blowing out teams, and everything will fall into place. But the whole first quarter thing, it relies on the coach, and this whole thing with him and everything going on is a giant distraction for Nick that I think he probably likes, because it's a lot easier to answer that than answer why you can't get this team ready to play each and every week. And when I say that, I'm not picking on him. I'm not trashing him. I'm simply stating a fact. You have played 5 games, you haven't scored in the first quarter, and that allows teams to stay in games. You go back to last year, same situation. You go back to the Super Bowl year, blowing teams out by halftime. So we need to take care of that. The other thing I want to say, we should be really, really excited. Really excited. Pause. No Diddy. About Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean made his start, and oh my gosh, the kid's a stud. The kid's a stud. He is exactly what I thought he would be. He is a guy that eventually will play all over the place in the secondary. You'll put him in a slot, you'll put him outside, you'll put him at safety, and I think he would be one of the best safeties in the league, by the way. But you can use him as a Swiss Army knife all over the place. And you see how the Eagles kind of did that in this game. He made a giant tackle to prevent a touchdown by the Browns. I thought Cooper DeJean was absolutely 1,000% fantastic. He was fantastic. And he's got to play. The young guy's got to play. And I know Darius Slay is back, or he's only day-to-day. And I'm not trashing Slay. I'm not a Slay hater. But at this point, I think why not play the young guys? Why not play the young guys? I mean, how much better is Slay than Isaiah Rodgers? At this point in his career, how much better is Slay than Ringo or any of these guys? I don't know. But I do know this. Those young guys are hungry, and they want to be on the field. And when you see Ringo knock a guy into next week, and when you see these guys wanting to play, let them play. Let them play. Let the young guys play because they're hungry. And I actually, looking back at the game, looking at everything, I don't think it's as bad as we think it is. Yeah, we have flaws. We've got work things out. We need to figure out trades. But if we could figure out the first quarter dilemma and the problems there, and I think this is going to require that Nick Sirianni gives up control on the offense, especially early in the games, because it's my belief, and nobody's going to convince me otherwise. Okay, it's not going to happen, but I'm convinced that Nick Sirianni has a lot to say, especially early on, what they're doing on offense, and I think he's heavily involved in the first 15 plays being scripted and the game plan going in, and it's not working. So he needs to give that up, and he needs to give it up to Kellen Moore, and then let's see if this team can be better early on. If they're better early on, if they come out and they put points on the board early on, they're going to crush teams. They're going to crush them because they are winning despite and in spite of Nick Sirianni and how that offense comes out and not being ready. This team, offensively especially, is not ready to play every week. That is not just me bitching about it. It's fact, backed up by the fact that they haven't scored points in the first 5 weeks and what they did at the end of last year. So you fix those things, and this team is going to be all right. There is reason for hope. I'm here to tell you. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's how we vision. We're all just living in it. I see right now that the Eagles have been doing cleanup, though. Now we're seeing that Nick Sirianni isn't calling defensive plays after he said he was. Vic said today, he said, Nick Sirianni's saying things to me like, be alert on this play on 3rd and long and things like that. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Nick said what he said for a reason. Why, I don't know. And I really hope that Vic Fangio does not feel undermined. But we can't let all those things be a distraction. We got one thing to ask Nick Sirianni. Why is this team not ready to play every week? Denzel Washington out.
That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us.